Sure, Lisa agreed. She tried to put all thoughts of Marc out of her mind. There was nothing they could do now anyway, so they might as well enjoy themselves. The weather was beautiful, and in front of them the riding path stretched out, nice and soft, perfect for a canter. "I'll race you to the old mill house," Lisa yelled, and gave Tinto the signal to start cantering. Side by side, the two girls rode along the wide path. Lisa enjoyed the feeling of the soft breeze caressing her face. "Ah, this is life," she thought. This was just how she had dreamed that her summer vacation would be. Sunshine, horses, and long, wonderful rides. Those who had never ridden horseback had no idea what they were missing. For a while she managed to forget all her worries. But the moment was fleeting. Suddenly, a huge dark shadow appeared on the path ahead of them. The shadow grew bigger and transformed itself into the shape of a horse, a very familiar horse. "Get out of the way!" Karen yelled to Lisa. Adani galloped towards them, froth foaming around his mouth. The reins dangled between his racing forelegs, and the saddle was empty. Lisa and Karen reined their horses to a halt and stared in disbelief at the enormous power of the approaching horse. They expected Adani to trip on his reins any second, but he thundered past them without slowing down at all. Then he disappeared around the nearest bend and was gone. The girls looked at each other helplessly. Lisa made a movement, as if to follow Adani, but Karen stopped her. "Never mind Adani now," she yelled. "We have to find Marc and see if he's hurt or—" She stopped short, unable to say out loud that Marc might be dead. She didn't even want to think about that horrible possibility. She deliberately steered Raven towards the spot where they had first seen Adani emerge. Hesitantly, Lisa followed her. "He appeared so suddenly, so he must have dodged out of the woods somewhere around here," Karen said, pointing to the foliage. The girls slowed down their horses and scanned the nearby trees and bushes. Nothing moved. Except for the sound of twittering birds, the only sign of life was the squirrel that jumped from one branch to the next with effortless elegance. There was no sign of Marc anywhere. Lisa and Karen both called out his name, softly at first, then louder and louder, until they were yelling at the top of their lungs. No reaction. "What are we going to do?" Karen looked at Lisa with despair in her eyes. "He could be anywhere. We haven't a clue where to start looking." Before Lisa had a chance to answer, Tinto pricked his ears, turned his head, and whinnied. He'd heard something. Lisa couldn't hear anything out of the ordinary. She looked at the tangle of trees and bushes. Could Tinto really have heard Marc? Hard to say, but they had to start looking somewhere. Without hesitation, she steered Tinto away from the path. A narrow, winding trail led into the thick of the forest. She gave Tinto free rein and let him walk on as he pleased. Sure-footed as always, he carefully picked his way across the uneven ground. Lisa scanned the ground. Was it her imagination, or did she see faded traces of hoofprints here and there? Tinto stopped and pricked his ears again. Had he heard something? "Marc?" she called tentatively. "Marc!" she repeated so shrilly that Tinto gave a protesting whinny. "Are you there? Can you hear me?" She waited, holding her breath. And then she heard it, a weak call. The sound came from somewhere to her right. 2 minutes later they found Marc. He was laying on the ground, propped up on his left elbow. His face was chalk-white and contorted in pain. "My leg," he gasped. "My God, it hurts. I think it must be broken." And then he fainted. "He must have as many lives as a cat. This time I was so certain. But he escaped, and now he's out of reach, at least for a while. Getting to him is going to be harder now. He'll be on guard. Maybe I should concentrate on an easier prey first. That's a good idea, and my next attempt will succeed. Those helpless little creatures, they don't stand a chance. Revenge. Oh, how I yearn for my revenge.